Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. It's our Tuesday night stream where we do Q&A. So anything goes. You can unmute yourself, type in. It could be for yourself, clients, friends, things you're trying to address. So go ahead and fire away.
And then go ahead, Deborah, then Ralph.
Hey, Deborah.
You are not unmuted yet. Let's get you unmuted.
Hi, how are you? I hope you're warm and staying safe with this challenging weather out there. I recently found somebody who's helping me with the house I'm building who has psoriasis, and he has it really bad and even across his face.
Okay.
So I know you've talked about psoriasis before, but I've never had a need to take notes on it. So I asked him if he was open to essential oils, and he said, yes, I like natural remedies. But he is not acquainted with chakras and things like that.
Yeah, actually, the thing with psoriasis is it is an autoimmune issue, and so it's not as straightforward as other conditions. Because of the autoimmune issue, and the immune system is about adjusting and adapting, and so when the body is, or excuse me, when the immunity is attacking the body, like sometimes you have to keep adjusting and adapting. And so there's not really like, oh, this is the thing that helps. But there are some things that we have a decent track record with. And so one is the use of spikenard on the breakout areas. And when you look at what psoriasis is, it's an overproduction of skin cells in the area. And there's other components too, but you want to balance out the skin and calm everything down. And spikenard is very balancing to the skin, and it has like some relaxing or sedative type qualities to it. So it can calm down things that are agitated in the body in a way that can be very stabilizing. And so I would put spikenard on those areas. The other thing that we've used where we've gotten some like moderately good results is the parsley soap. Like, they could be doing both of them, but the parsley soap has reduced some of the symptoms. And traditionally I wouldn't have put parsley in that mix, but when we started putting out the parsley soap, we got so much feedback that we were using it as like a general like immunity treatment for the skin, and a skin cleanser, like lymphatic cleanser for the skin. And we had a lot of feedback that actually it was reducing some of the symptoms for psoriasis. And so, it's a pretty hefty therapeutic dose of parsley in either the bar soap or the liquid soap that is the black soap. And so, the black soap by itself, I kind of like to lean that direction a little bit more, just because the black soap by itself can actually have a big impact on the skin and the reduction of things like psoriasis and things like that. And then adding the therapeutic dosage of parsley can definitely enhance that quite a bit. And there's something about the soap, or excuse me, the parsley with the soap that makes it a little bit different than just putting it on with a massage oil or a liniment, because soap is meant to like break down like the membranes of like bacterias and things like that. And so I think it has a deeper cleansing effect, and it assimilates into the skin and into the area to a much higher degree. And so I like the idea of soap as being the treatment. And so I would do that combination. I would also, if it depends on how much he wants to do, but Moroccan thyme, taking internally, like maybe 2 to 3 drops daily in some water, is for reducing inflammation in the body, but to help stimulate the thymus gland which is the piece of your physiology that directly contributes to the immune system attacking the body or not, right? And so sometimes what happens is the immune system can become hypervigilant, and instead of fighting viruses and bacteria, the immune system just starts attacking the body. And it could be just like some little aspect of the body. And so by using the Moroccan thyme, it doesn't completely undo it, but it definitely calms it down and starts to re-educate the body. So the combination should be a good, healthy start for all that.
Okay, so it seems like there's like 4 possibilities here. If it's somebody that's new to this, what would be your first go-to?
Spikenard directly on the areas. Yeah.
Okay, and directly, no oil or witch hazel, just directly.
No, just directly to the area. Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah,
then the parsley part, I'm a little confused about. There is a liquid soap that you refer to as a black soap.
Mhm.
And you would use that along with taking parsley internally?
Nope. It was just the parsley is in the soap.
Okay,
The black soap is the base, and then parsley is the essential oil added to that.
okay,
And so it's a parsley therapeutic soap that he would use when he bathes.
okay. And then if they really are confident and comfortable with the oils and they really want to just attack it, you would add the Moroccan thyme, 2 to 3 drops daily.
Right.
Okay, so would you also, if you were going after it, you would, after they did the bathing with the parsley, then you would add the spikenard on the
Correct.
top?
Yeah.
Okay,
correct. Yeah.
okay, super,
Yeah.
thank you. And I just have to say, I am so excited about tomorrow, what you're doing. I can't wait.
Good.
So, thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, go ahead, Ralph and Chris.
Hey, Mr. Ralph.
Hey Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you? How's life
Great.
down there?
Great class. Oh, it's gonna get cold. It's gonna get down to 30 degrees down here too in the next week. So,
Really? Wow.
yes, we get to share in
Wow.
the joy of North America.
Yeah, there you go.
Questions on the immune class follow-up here.
Uh-huh.
Cassia, I believe at one point you said cassia was a high-grade cinnamon.
Not necessarily high grade, it's a variation. It's so close to cinnamon that it's about the quality of cinnamon leaf. Like if you wanted to go like stronger than normal cinnamon leaf is the cinnamon bark. The issue is that the cinnamon bark does run a bit hot, and so I usually go cinnamon leaf for most things, and then the bark when you really need to go after something a bit more aggressively. But the cinnamon bark I tend to use more short term. Where if you're doing more long-term treatment, the cinnamon leaf actually works quite well. Yeah.
Okay,
But cassia could be inserted there. I mean, like in my mind, like sometimes when I talk about cinnamon leaf, I just forget to say or cassia. Like they're so interchangeable for me that I just, and even in like when you go and buy like cinnamon from the grocery store or something, a lot of times that's actually cassia. It's not even cinnamon. It's
oh, really?
it's so interchangeable. Like they're so close in nature that they, like spikenard and valerian are that way. They're so close in nature that sometimes people won't even distill valerian where, because a lot of the spikenard and valerian come out of Nepal. And so they won't even distill the valerian sometimes because there's just like, well, you have spikenard. Why would you do valerian? Like it's just so close that it's like, why would you do something so close?
Mhm.
But cinnamon, cassia, interchangeable.
Okay. Thanks.
And you enjoyed the weekend, the class on the weekend?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good, good, good.
Good. Monarda, so what's the difference between Monarda and Monarda complex?
So Monarda complex, I just kind of did things to augment the Monarda. And like the second, like Monarda is the most antiviral oil there is in essential oils, right?
Okay.
And then the second most potent is Melissa. And the reason why I don't talk about Melissa a whole bunch for like antiviral issues like prevention and things like that is it's more than double the price of Monarda. And so, for me, I'm like, it's not improving anything over Monarda, and I don't want people spending money just to be spending money. So like I just don't ever talk about it. But when I start thinking about it, it's like, let's really gear up this Monarda complex a bit. So we put in some Melissa with it and a couple different forms of thyme and just tried to amplify the antiviral properties as much as we could, like augment the properties of Monarda with some of the other oils. And so you kind of get the benefit of using Monarda and Melissa with it, with some kind of fancy forms of thyme as well.
Okay. All right. I know that you mentioned in the class that cinnamon and, what was it? Cinnamon and peppermint didn't like to work together.
Yeah, I mean they can, but it's like putting two alphas in the same room. They're just going to end up fighting with each other all the time.
Okay. So
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my question is there a conflict between tarragon and vetiver?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, it's usually just really dominant oils, and there's not very many of them to begin with. Cinnamon, mint, peppermint or forest mint, and then one that you wouldn't think of is tea tree. Tea tree is not as dominating as some of those other ones, but it's still pretty dominating. And then it was something else. Like it's not ringing a bell right now, but there's a couple. There's like a handful of oils that are that way. They're not many.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I know it's almost there. Yeah.
You're really already so soon, and
No.
looking forward to tomorrow.
Just
night.
flying by. Yeah, just flying by.
Yep.
And then go ahead, Chris, then Cindy.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Greg, how are you this evening?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Notice I didn't say Miss Chris. Like
Yeah.
you got me last time. I'm trying to be good now.
Hey, this is a question just following up on that issue about our friend that I spoke with you about a few days ago.
Mhm.
Well, I found out last night that he suffered a heart attack, I
Yeah.
believe last
I
Wednesday
was
or Thursday.
Yeah. Oh wow. So just recent.
Yeah, and I didn't know about it until his sister had gotten a hold of me last night, and I spoke to her very briefly, and just got a quick details, and I'll get some more when I get back with her. But yeah, apparently he suffered a heart attack after he had called 911 and was in the ER, and he was in pretty serious condition, and they just ended up taking the tube out of his throat because he needed assistance breathing. I think it was either yesterday or Sunday. So I just wanted to follow up on, and I asked, what can I do now that he's past that stage of, trying to help him with the inflammation and possibly the gut issues. But, now that he's actually suffered the heart attack and, what I could,
So
protocols I could do to help him, and then,
Yeah.
a possible pranic healing protocol that I could start working with.
the thing, like, is he still in the hospital or is he home now or?
According to what his sister told me, they're expecting him to be in the hospital a couple of weeks. That might move left.
I honestly, I probably wouldn't do a whole lot until he's out.
Okay,
And the reason being that we don't want to throw off any medical tests or anything that they're doing, because they're trying to go through and evaluate like function and how medications are going to work. And we do a little bit of healing or something, it throws that off, and then we stop doing the healing, and then all of a sudden something needs to be adjusted. And so my rule of thumb is like when they've got good medical care like that, like he's in the hospital, let him run the tests and do all that. And then once that is done, then we put a couple regimens in place. I do have a regimen that I do like post heart attack. And it's based on it's actually more herbs than oils. And it's based on different like studies and things where we've like pulled it together for like rehabbing the heart and fortifying the heart and heart function when there has been a heart attack. And so in the Ayurvedic tradition, there was some studies done on how different herbs impacted people that have had a heart attack and like dosages and things like this. And so I would say let's let him get out of the hospital and be stable, and then big picture we put in a little regiment that can really improve the function of the heart. And I don't want to say undo the effects of the heart attack, because there is a little bit of tissue death that happens with that, but make the heart function well so that it hopefully is not an issue. I mean, the study that I'm talking about is with a couple substances, and the thing was they looked at like, I can't remember, like a couple hundred patients that had had heart attacks, and they looked at dosages over a period of time and like markers that they would hit with treatment, 1 month, 6 months, 2 years, things like that. And so, it's going to be all about consistency at this point, and just getting his body into a better place, and that needs to kind of wait until he's out of the hospital and all the meds are set. Yeah.
no, I completely understand
Yeah.
where you're coming from on that. Okay,
Yeah.
so I will let him, when he gets home and he gets settled and kind of,
Yeah.
I'll be assisting him and helping him however I can and find out what his meds are. Then I'll follow up with you.
Yeah, I'll say I don't even really need to know so much of that, what his meds are. I just kind of need to know, because there's like a handful of things that he's probably going to be on or not on, but I just like the medications are all like stable, like they're not trying to figure out dosages and everything. Like they have him on a regimen that they want him to do. Then at that point, then we can move forward and like, augment and what's being done, and do it in a way that's not going to throw off any the quality of care that he's getting from his doctor.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
You too. Merry Christmas. Boy, I'm sorry to hear that your friend had a heart attack, though. That's a bummer.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But we'll look after him and get him back on the road to
Okay.
recovery and back to good health.
Good.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Cindy, then Catherine.
Hey, Cindy.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, how's life?
Hey, I wanted to validate something you did. Remember
do?
when you were here in, well, anyway, when we talked at one point, you said I was asking you questions about my work and who I should add. There's an accounting position open, right?
Uh-huh.
And you suggested I mention it to the owner, and that he would immediately jump on it.
Yeah.
And he did. I asked one day, the very next day I had a meeting with him, which is very hard to do. And a couple of days later, he emailed me and said that he has ordered the accounting license program for me to have access to the accounting program. And he's gonna give me two properties to do accounting for.
Yay.
Yeah, wow, I had to really calm myself. I was so excited.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I know it was like kind of throwing yourself out there in a situation. You don't know how it's going to land, but you know, it looked good. You know, it looked
Yeah.
like it was a good situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really pleased and thank you.
Yeah, I'm
for
super
helping.
happy for you. Yeah, I'm super happy for you.
Yeah, so thank you.
You're
And
so welcome.
I did want to say I've been struggling the last couple of weeks, and last night I put spikenard on the top of my feet, about 5 drops each
Mhm.
knee, and then I just smelled it for a long time, you know, the inhalations.
Mhm.
And this morning, I don't know if anything else happened, but this morning I woke up and the mind was like still as a lake.
Oh, good.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It was so amazing.
Yeah.
So
I would, you know, that's the thing is like, it's very calming to the stress response just by itself is putting it on the feet and get it between the toes as well. Like, you know, to put, like a lot of times, like if this is the toes, like I drop some like up like this, and then I
Right.
take it and then I rub it in between the toes, because you're hitting a lot of the meridians that way. And so it's just calming everything down with only treating that spot. But if you put spikenard on your feet on a regular basis, you just notice like after a while, like, yeah, things that stress me out, they're still stressful, but I don't react like I used to. Like, you know, you don't have the, because, you know, like I like to break it down like is this physical stress, emotional stress, mental stress, and also stress from other people, you know, because that is a big one just by itself. And putting the spikenard on calms them all down, but usually the big ones are stress from other people and just physical stress. Like your body has a response where your emotions and your mind might not be very stressed about it, but your body still gets into that agitated state. And so it's just a way to like calm all of that down.
okay. So let me ask you. So last night I put it on neat on top of the feet.
Yeah.
And I also have, so what's the difference between the spikenard ointment and putting it on spikenard, putting spikenard on neat?
For this application, either one would work. Like I'd say they're both probably about the same potency, unless you just put on way more of the oil like neat. And so either way, when you're putting the ointment on, it's already blended into some sesame oil. And so it's got like a little bit of tamanu and a couple other things in it. But with that, I would cover the whole foot, like cover between your toes, the sole of your foot, the arches, you know, the heel and the top of the foot, like get it all the way up to the ankle. When you're doing neat, like you can just do like the tops, the webs, and maybe a little tiny bit on the bottom of the feet and call it good. But unless you're just putting on a bunch, neat, they're about equal. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
And still, like I like the idea of, you know, like when you're really stressed out, inhaling it, and you can still even take a drop or two and take it internally, like right as you're going to bed. And
Right.
it will just augment all of that. You know, it's very calming, soothing, reduces stress response, you know, even pain, things like this, and deepens your sleep. I mean, it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, what I normally do at night is toss and turn from one side to the other, just constantly. And last night I laid on my back and I did not move.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. I mean, the thing that you might want to augment that with just as time goes by, like I would probably just stick with that for a while. And then you could still do those things topically, but you could augment like smelling a little bit of spikenard at bed, and then even work in like tarragon or marjoram, because they're both going to tone the vagus nerve, and when you tone the vagus nerve, you're toning the aspect of rest and repair in the involuntary part of your nervous system. And so a lot of times when we're having issues with sleep, is there's something up with that involuntary part of the nervous system, and we're just a little too much in the activity, action, fight, flight kind of thing, and not enough rest and repair. And so it's just a way to kind of keep toning that area so that you're able to slip into rest and repair quite easily, because those two areas kind of balance each other. And so if the rest and repair doesn't have quite the tone, without doing anything, you go more into fight flight, just because the other side can't balance it out. And so, like in that part of the nervous system, you could almost say it is an either or situation. Either you're resting or you're in fight flight. Either you're in rest and repair or you're resting. Like, it is literally like super specific like that. And so I would just keep doing things that like tone those components down, tone the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which is fight flight, and keep toning the vagus nerve, which is more your rest and repair mode. But I just do spikenard for a while, and then after a while you'll go, maybe I need to do a little extra, or you don't. And if you don't, then I just call it good. But if you feel that you're still needing to augment it a little bit, jump into tarragon or marjoram or both.
And how would I do?
You can do inhalation. Personally, what I'd like to do with tarragon is take a couple drops internally and then inhale. And then if I feel like I'm really needing a little bit of work there, I rub some like on my feet, but you already got spikenard there. And so you could rub it on your abdomen.
And the same for the marjoram.
Yeah, marjoram you can put anywhere, but I'd still probably put it on the abdomen. How is your digestion? I'm just curious.
Oh, I'm realizing how bad it is. I bought, you told me last time to get digestive enzymes and take them in between meals, and I'm trying to get in a schedule for that. I haven't quite made it yet, but I have them. And I got ANS.
Good. Okay.
And I'm taking that. Should I do that once or twice a day?
You could do that twice a day. Like ANS, tarragon, rosemary, verbena, they all help to like rehabilitate stressed out digestive tract. And especially the tarragon component of it, which ANS has it in there. But tarragon is still balancing the nervous system out, like how we were talking about before, but in the gut, it's antispasmodic, and it helps to rehabilitate like just stressed out digestive tract. And once it starts to kind of work after several dosages, it actually starts to increase like a gentle like detox. It doesn't throw you in like a detox crisis, but it just starts helping the digestive tract to start eliminate properly, and lymphatic system starts functioning a little bit better. It's not super specific to the liver, but kind of, and things that would normally cause you to have a little nausea start to diminish, and it starts to help with bowel movements and all those things. But it doesn't do it right off the bat. It's something that, like, if you do it for a while, it will really help rehabilitate that area. And so, if you start now, I would say I usually have people do it for, it depends on the situation, but like when we're really trying to rehab, like a month to 6 weeks. And that third weekend in January, we're going to do like how we just did that study group for immunity. We're going to do it for digestive health, like the digestive components as it contributes to immunity, but also just how to do like all the things we're talking about, like how to go through and really rehab stressed out digestive tract and how to detox it even to a greater degree than what we're talking about, and how to stimulate like proper muscle movement in the digestive tract. And we're going to look at it to a much higher degree than what we've done before, but not just with like these things are good for it, but we're going to talk about like protocols and how to put it in action. And so if you go through and you start that now, you'll be at like perfect timing to hit it at about the time for the next phase when we do that it's just going to be a free weekend. So this last one we did one day, but that one's going to be a 2-dayer.
Okay, is there good, so were you mainly saying start the Tarragon now?
I would start the Tarragon probably now, just because the digestive issues are there. Like if we were just talking about sleep, I'd like, wait a week or two. But now with the talk of the digestive issues, let's have you just go ahead and jump into it. Because I think, because here's the thing with sleep is like sleep can have all kinds of weird reasons that it happens. And one of them is a lot of tension in the digestive tract. It could be tension in the respiratory tract, but most often it's more tension in the digestive tract. And the other thing that we never really think about as far as like having difficulty sleeping and insomnia and things is sometimes it's allergies. Like it's a histamine response. And so like if you look at like the medications you go to for the like sleep at the drugstore, like Tylenol PM or whatever it is, PM, the PM part is just what's the thing they use for Benadryl. It's Benadryl. And Benadryl is a little bit relaxing, but it basically is calming down that allergic reaction long enough for it to like make you go to sleep. And so if the gut is in a stressed out state, I mean, that is one of the big triggers for allergies. It causes all kinds of weird allergic reactions that can manifest in the respiratory tract and the skin. It can manifest in all these different areas. And so if you have a little bit of an issue there, then I just start doing things to keep calming it down, improving the function, because you're improving immunity, you're reducing the potential for allergies, you're reducing the potential for stress, you're increasing the potential for sleep, and then you also have how the digestive tract impacts the skeletal muscles of the body and the joints and all this stuff. And so it can really stimulate overall body vitality and even affect your mood a little bit. And so all of these things can all be impacted by the gut. And so if you're having a little bit of issue there, I would kind of jump on it with the Tarragon, the ANS. Like I'd maybe do ANS one time a day and then just plain Tarragon one time a day, and do that for a little while, and then we'll adjust. Yeah, do that for like a few weeks, and then we'll adjust and keep it up with the spikenard. Keep it up, like, I mean, who doesn't love spikenard? Like on the feet and on the legs. I mean, it's just so soothing, so relaxing. I mean, spikenard and valerian are the two strongest kind of sedative type oils there are in essential oils, and they're just, man, they just take the stress out of you.
That sounds good. This morning, I was so calm that I was more in touch with the body, and I massaged the abdomen, and I could feel some trigger points affecting the left hip.
Yeah.
Down the leg.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I also sometimes put on Digestive Calm, and it'll calm that hip down.
Yeah. It's amazing how much those two things are connected. But when you look at where the psoas is, which is your strongest hip flexor, and the muscle in your low back, but it's on the front part of the spine. I mean, it's just right there with all the digestive organs. I mean, it's just right there. And so calming all that stuff down, it does change something. And even like doing some stuff in and around the kidneys, sometimes that's the issue, is it's not the kidney themselves, but the connective tissue that holds the kidneys in place sometimes can be an issue. And so, yeah, I like looking at all of that when you're looking at either low back or digestive issues. And so, when we do that class in January, we're going to go like deeper than what we've talked about. I laid that booklet out where we've talked about it generally, and where we've put it all together and have talked about it as a group. But we're going to take each section and go really deep just with one of the sections throughout the year. And so, we're going to do one on the respiratory tract. We're going to do, different things on the skin but do a thing with pain. And the next one, we were talking and it was like digestive tract needs to be next. Like, it's just, most people have some sort of digestive tract issue. Like it's too common. We have the things with immunity because of the pandemic, but people have digestive issues, and that's been going on for a very long time.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
very helpful. Happy holidays.
Yeah, you too. Merry Christmas. Tell Michael hi for me.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, and congratulations on the job thing.
Yes.
That was amazing. Good.
Yes. Yeah. And thank you for your help with that.
Yeah, like your boss, like, obviously I've never met him or anything, but, you present somebody like that with a good idea when they have a problem, they're usually grateful, not, weird about it. And so I just figured if you just presented it right, he'd jump all over it.
He did. And he
Yeah.
sent me a really nice email.
Oh, good. And I would say that, do this first for a while, and then there's probably more on the horizon in that genre for you and within that company. Like, do this for a little while and then say, get it down, and then like, okay, now what's next? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Do this for a while though. Like, perform and just be you. Just get in there, do your thing and all of that. And then a little while, when everything is good, then take on a little bit more.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Thank
it out
you.
when the time comes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. You're so.
And then go ahead, Catherine, then Robin.
Hey, Catherine.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you so much for all this. I'm great, thanks. This is all
Oh, you're
really,
so
really
sweet.
helpful.
Thank you.
So I've got some kind of general questions.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get my oils and blends and carriers and products
Mhm.
organized so that I can use them more efficiently and effectively. And I found that there's just a whole bunch of questions that come up when I start looking at them. So, I mean, I could keep you busy for hours with these questions, but I thought I'll ask just a few at a time, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough.
So if I just start from an easy place to start, it kind of builds on what Cindy asked about the difference between using an oil and an ointment.
Sure.
So when I look at all the carrier oils that I have, some of them seem just kind of generic, but there are 3 that I realize are really special ones. And I don't know when you'd use one rather than another. And that's
Okay.
the Kalahari blend, sesame
Right.
oil, and Tamanu.
Yep, those would be the 3 that I would say those are your go-to ones. And so let's start with sesame. So sesame is not a blend. It is just a single carrier oil. But the thing that I like about sesame, and there's the sesame oil that you get at the grocery store, and then there's the sesame oil that you get, that's like what they would call cosmetic grade, which is what we're using. And the difference is it's really the same oil. It's just that when you use it for cosmetic applications, they filter it more, because the thing that gives it taste are these little particles in the oil that could make it smell like stronger and make that rancid smell a little faster, like in your clothing or something, if you put it on, and it potentially can clog the pores. And so we use a cosmetic grade sesame oil, which is like what you'd go to the health food store and buy. But then even within that realm, you know, just like with olive oil, there's like special grades of, you know, sesame oil, and they don't quite call it like extra virgin, you know, which is like the olive oil to the different pressings. And so, but there's just different grades of it. And so we actually use a little bit of a higher therapeutic grade of sesame oil. It's a bit more expensive, you know, on our end for it, but you know, we're looking at it not as just for a massage or something. We're looking at it as, you know, a kind of medicine like we do the essential oils. And so even the carrier, we don't want to like just bypass that and treat it like it's nothing, because it is something quite substantial. So bottom line, if you go why or when would I use sesame oil, is sesame oil is really great for supporting and stimulating lymphatic function. So basically your body's ability to detoxify, and even you could say a little bit of increasing or improving the potential of your body to fight off like viruses and bacteria and things, just because it's impacting the lymphatic system and the lymph nodes. And so it works really super well for that. And so I would use sesame oil for a lot of different things, like arthritic conditions, just the dull achy pain. You're needing to apply something to the abdomen or something like that, or when in doubt, I just go sesame. Like you know, it is deodorized. Well, not deodorized. It's just been filtered more, so it doesn't quite have the not stink, but the smell of like the food grade sesame. And so, you know, the little town that we live in is, there's a lot of Ayurvedic medicine that gets practiced in the town, and they all use the food grade sesame oil. And it's like, you can smell it because it's like, it has like a bit of a rancid smell, like because people put their shirt on or something afterwards, and it's just like, ugh. You know, it can get a little bit of a funk to it. This sesame oil doesn't do that. And so that's probably a good go-to one. Kalahari, it's a type of melon. And again, it's blended with a couple other oils, but the main ingredient there is the Kalahari melon. And that is anti-inflammatory, like very, very anti-inflammatory. And so anytime you're using blends or things to reduce inflammation, that can be very good. And then the Tamanu is again a bit of a blend. It has a little bit of sesame in there with it. It also has like a thing called heliocarrot, which is like a pressed carrot. And then, God, what else is there in there? There's Tamanu.
I didn't know.
There's one more thing in there. There's another oil that's supportive of it, but basically it's good for the joints. It's anti-inflammatory as well, but where sesame stimulates like lymphatic function, Tamanu helps the body detoxify to like a greater degree. Like it helps with phagocytosis. It helps with like the production of white blood cells. You know, it's good for the immune system, but it's like for example, like if you're treating endometriosis, you know, putting like tarragon and massage oil like sesame on the abdomen, it works pretty good. But if you put it in with Tamanu, I mean, it literally actually can break up some of the endometriosis. And so I've actually have used versions of that, and have almost completely eradicated endometriosis and some old clients way back in the day. And it has to be done consistently, but it has to be with Tomanu. Like if you do it with another carrier, it just doesn't do it. And so we look at the carriers to like kind of augment what's happening in the essential oils. But if in doubt, sesame is always solid, but any of them are good choices. But like when I'm making things, unless there's a reason why to use something else, I usually go sesame or Tomanu. Like I do Tomanu in some of the different ointments to a different degree. But that's usually where I go with it. Like if there's things that we're doing for the face or for a scar or for something like that, sometimes I do different combinations, but those three are really super solid choices, and not a real big need to venture out of that trio there for as far as ointments and applications are concerned, unless you're wanting to do like a lotion or something like that. But yeah, I mean, sesame, I mean, this is how good sesame is. Like especially the higher quality sesame. Sesame is almost as potent for the lymphatic system as the lymphatic blend I make. Like that's how good sesame is for the lymphatic system. Like it's kind of crazy how good it is. And so you put it together and it just augments what's already in place with each one of them. And so, when in doubt, things can always be treated lymphatically, like always. So.
Thank you. That's super helpful.
Yeah. Do you have
Yeah,
another
can I
one
throw
for me?
in one more? Or
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
people
of
waiting?
course.
I can't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
see.
no, fire away.
So what I realized is that I have a lot of blends
Mhm.
that I've used in one or two classes, but I don't really know how to go to them or what I would use them for.
Mhm.
So I'm starting just with the ointments and the liniments and so on. So where do I use unwind ashwagandha ointment?
So the unwind ashwagandha is so let's talk about each one individually. Like, because there's the ashwagandha, which is also in a base of sesame oil. And then, so the ashwagandha itself is a CO2 extract. And then the unwind it's for like muscular tension, but you're looking at like muscular tension. There's different kinds, right? Like a spasm is different than a trigger point, so what unwind is treating is referred to as a contracture. And a contracture simply means that there's no neurological reason for it to be there, right? So that means could be potentially like a muscle imbalance. It could be a postural imbalance. It could be like a toxicity in the body. It could be an emotional state. It could be stress. It could be any variation of this, but basically it's relaxing tissues in a way that's different than like say marjoram or basil or something like this, where you're trying to reduce spasms, where there's a neurological reason or a cardiovascular reason why it's happening. Unwind, a contracture, I should say, it doesn't have any of those reasons, but there's still tension there. And so a lot of times it's postural imbalance or muscle imbalance. And so by going through and treating this over a period of time, it helps to unwind not just the skeletal muscle, but a lot of times in situations like that, you're having tension in also the smooth muscle, which is the muscle of the digestive tract and the muscle of the respiratory tract. And so it's helping to calm all of that down. And so different than using marjoram. And sometimes what you do is you just test to see each one. Like for myself, I rotate different things at different times. And, because any time like a joint or a muscle or a back or knee gets compromised, there starts to be muscle imbalances at some point. And so it's a way to go through and treat that and start to balance out how the muscles work. And so there's a whole series of these mechanisms that starts to go into play. But if you just kind of think about it like that, that'll get you to where you need to go. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Greg. I'll bring you another list next time.
Okay, you have one more you want to fire off real quick?
How about unconscious theralotion?
Yeah, so unconscious is literally about like calming down some of the unconscious drives. The idea was to be able to treat things in more of the lower chakras with the unconscious blend. A lot of our unconscious drives or unconscious desires comes out of the spleen. Unconscious in a way is kind of strengthening and fortifying to the spleen. And if you look at like what does the spleen do, it has to do with your overall vitality, but part of what it does is it also breaks down like air pranas and then digests it and then energizes other parts of the body. And then eventually the spleen contributes to like the strength and vitality of your emotional body, like your heart, your solar plexus. And so like, for example, when the spleen is really depleted, you see somebody, you can almost like pinpoint like that their spleen's depleted without being able to measure energy, because they'll say things like, I just feel really blah, or the future doesn't feel like there's anything, or I have no hope. The no hope thing is big because they don't have the energy to feel. They don't have the energy to perceive. And it's not that they're being funky in their head. It's literally that the spleen is not providing enough energy for them to have those emotional responses. And so the unconscious blend is good for all the lower chakras. I mean, it's good for all the chakras, but especially the lower chakras, and even more so, especially the spleen. So it's a way to fortify the spleen and increase and improve function. But if there's unconscious things that are causing us to be upset or contribute to a health issue or some difficulty with a person, it would be the thing that you pull out to hit the things that are not in your head, because unconscious is you are not aware of it, so it could be something from childhood or something that somebody said or some influence or just some, primal fear that you have, or, who knows? Like most times we never really know what they are, but they're still there and they're impacting us. So it's just a way to be able to let those things go. The big one that I would say, this isn't what I intended it to be for, but, there's just times where I don't even know the best way to say it, but like there's just times where something gets set in motion. Usually it's not something that the person chooses, but like, say somebody was being really hard on you for a period of time and then they go away. Depending on how young you were and like how much that relationship could influence you. Sometimes what happens is they go away, so we pick up where they left off. Like, okay, you were really beating me up, so now that you're gone, yeah, I'll carry the torch and I'll do it myself. It's not a conscious choice. It's an unconscious kind of momentum is the best way to say it. And it helps to diminish like those unconscious momentums that cause like self-harm. It's usually the byproduct of something that was traumatic. It's usually not because of stress or fear, but it's like something that was traumatizing to you, hurt your feelings, And you might not even put two and two together, like, oh, that's what's happening with this. Like this is causing this response, but you kind of go through and start treating it, and it's all like all of a sudden I feel better. We have times where people can influence us more than we realize. It's usually in our younger years or times where we were really worn down or really vulnerable in situations where whatever the person did had a bigger impact than normal. And so it is also a way to like diminish that component, if that makes sense.
Fantastic. It certainly does. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah. Like that's one that we actually broke out about, what was it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago? And like I just started playing with it again. I was like, man, I forgot how much I like this blend. And I think I was doing a thing where I was going through the joints, and oh man, it just felt good. There's a lot of larch in that, because it does have an impact on the respiratory tract some. And so it's not something I'd use specifically for the respiratory tract, but the spleen is the center where, I'm just like going off on a tangent, but the spleen is where a lot of that unconscious like thinking and desire kind of resides. But for us to be able to access it, to like tap into it or to release it, it's done through the breath. So even though it's there, like, there's ways to unwind it a little bit, but utilizing and harnessing the breath is like one of the quickest ways to unwind those unconscious things. And so it was meant to like kind of augment some of that.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
Have a great rest. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Robin, then Jennifer.
Hey, Miss Robin.
Hey, Greg,
Mhm.
just sent you guys another person for the Human Design Oil Kit. So
Oh,
that's
tremendous.
Yep. I have a question about a client.
Sure, far away.
Wondering about essential oils for healing she's in her 70s,
Okay.
a lifelong habit of soothing herself through eating and overeating. Her issues are around calming fear and learning more.
I was just going to say, is there a lot of anxiety?
A lot of anxiety, yeah.
How conscious is she of the anxiety?
Very conscious.
Okay.
Very conscious. And human design, she's a manifester. Yeah.
And was there events that caused her to be fearful or implied, or she just
She grew up in rural Iowa,
Uh-huh.
a long time ago when they still had an outhouse.
Yeah.
And, it was that she grew up in very, I wouldn't say primitive, but in that kind of way, that
Sure.
very kind of way, and farming. And, I think there was just a lot of not being tended to in a certain way.
Mhm.
And also while she was in the womb, her mother's brother was missing in action. So I think
Missing
there's
in action in a war?
war, yeah.
Okay.
So and ended up dead,
Yeah.
not coming back. So yeah, so I think there's a really early wound around fear and anxiety that she picked up there.
I'm looking at my notes for a second here.
It was just not a very relationally based family, very Iowa, on
Mhm.
your own.
Well, normally I'd go to like, let's talk about like things like potentially like Palo Santo or like vetiver or spikenard, or there's that blend. serenity. But I would say with her, I'd like to do something a little bit different. Did she ever have children?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so never a child.
She's unpartnered. Her important relationship in her life was killed in a plane crash.
Oh man, she has had a rough one.
Yeah.
I would probably go like just two things right off the bat. And so first off, I would do, and this is not a common one for me to say for like the anxiety, but jasmine. And the thing with jasmine is way more fortifying to the nerves and to the spleen than we really think. And it's one of those things where it's almost like when things are happening, it's almost like having a little bit more of a playful approach to life rather than everything is like a crisis or something to fend off or a fire to put out. You know what I mean? It's almost like bringing a little bit of a childlike kind of playfulness about like situations rather than just being like super like rigid is not the right word. It's almost like problem solving or like waiting for the next shoe to drop. You know what I mean? Like I think there's like just with the little bit that you've told me, how could you not be waiting for the next shoe to drop? Like, you know, there's these big significant things. And it's like the jasmine just helps to like soften and take that edge off where you're just always like, what about the shoes? What about the shoe dropping? What should I do with the shoe? Like, you know, you just, your mind is in that place of like kind of fight flight thinking. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it, you know, you could say marjoram would pull you out and this would pull you out, but for her, she has experiences that she has to diminish for her to be able to get there. Like, it's not just like, oh, she's in fight flight. She's in fight flight because she can remember these things and like they impacted her so hard. And so, you know, just inhaling them, and I'd almost like her to do like body awareness with it, where she just kind of checks in with her body, and then wherever she feels like some tension or some weirdness, heaviness, a little pain, and inhale it just by maintaining her awareness on that part of the body, and then also inhaling it with her awareness on the temples. You know, so both there, probably a couple drops on her wrist daily as well. Like it would be good for her to get the chemistry of it into her bloodstream. And then the second one is helichrysum, and just to release the traumatic and hurt feelings from the past. And the thing with helichrysum, it's not just about releasing the traumas from the past, but like helping a person move past the traumatic events. Because like the thing is there's the emotional part, there's the mental part, but the hardest part is actually the physiology. You know, you have things in your neurological makeup that makes it a little bit harder to move past certain events, because part of your brain and your mind is like, yeah, but what if it happens again? Or like, I didn't see this coming, or, you know, the brain's always wanting to predict the future to avoid these things. And so at one level we let it go. And then on another level it was like, the brain is like, yeah, but if I remember this, I can recognize it and avoid it in the future, when none of this is things she can avoid. You know?
Right.
And
Right.
so that part of her physiology is not doing her any favors, but we all have it, you know, we all have it. And so the helichrysum helps her to move past that. It helps the physiology move past it. Like if there's emotional and mental components too, it helps with that, but it definitely helps the physiology to move past it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
So yeah, I just stick with those two for a little bit. And
Okay.
so yeah.
Helichrysum
Thank you.
application.
So the helichrysum can be inhaled, or I would put it a little bit, like maybe in a little bit of lotion or something, and have her rub it on her chest daily.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
we'll be talking soon.
Yeah, good.
And then go ahead, Jennifer, then Deborah.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Okay, great. Thank you. Good, really well. Hey, I just want to really over the moon. Thank you. Aiden is. I had talked to you a couple of weeks ago about his growth hormone.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, needing and we started the frankincense and myrrh right away.
Okay.
And had him inhaling the cinnamon leaf very consistently. He's really good about following through.
Uh-huh.
And so we combined that with microcurrent because he has I have a friend who's she does microcurrent. Her profession is making the programs, and she has a program that helps the pituitary.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been just this very much significant change. You can tell that he's making progress. Like,
Oh, good.
He's lighter in just his personality is lighter. He's having more fun. He's not as many aches and pains throughout his body. That I've
Perfect.
noticed that he's the talk about that has lessened. So
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah, those observations are my observations as his mom, being around him all the time.
Right.
He's just the intensity of everything has lessened dramatically. Now it's been a breath of fresh air for him. So we're at the point where I'm like, okay, do we keep going with this as we're doing it right now?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like maybe we should do differently or add in because we can't get a hold of growth hormone. It's like it's gone, like off the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of thinking it's a blessing in disguise because quite frankly, Aiden doesn't even really want to be on it anymore.
Did I mute you? I am so sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Me, I'm so
So I heard you from he doesn't want to be on it, and then
So yeah, he doesn't want to be on the growth hormone anyway. So we're going to keep trying to get a hold of it, but we might not be able to get it till, sometime in January anyway. At the end of January. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, if should we add anything in? Should we do anything differently at this
okay.
point?
So I like that he's improving, but so let's revisit. So with the frankincense and myrrh, like how much is he doing and how is he doing it?
So he's doing it 2 to 3 drops a day. He's doing it 2 to 3 drops a day, 3 times a day in water.
Okay.
And then he's inhaling the cinnamon leaf.
Okay.
Occasionally he'll put the cinnamon leaf. I told him to go ahead and put a drop or two in his water too. And I
Okay.
know he's doing that. So I just didn't know if we should just keep up with
Okay.
what we're doing
So
and keep checking in.
let's do this. Let's have him bump up to 6 drops a day of the frankincense and myrrh, or 6 drops 3 times a day. And then,
Okay.
and I would like him to maybe either like a salt bath or a lotion or like a liniment of frankincense or myrrh, just mix a bunch of it in some sort of carrier and have him rub it on his body, especially somewhere on his torso, his back, his abdomen, just kind of get it in on the area somewhere. And
Okay.
that's is still the same with the cinnamon. There are things that are stimulating to the pituitary, but I like the idea of the frankincense and myrrh because, it hits the hypothalamus, and it, which is how the nervous system and the endocrine system communicate with each other. And then it hits all the glands, like it just hits them all. And so it's a great way to like just jumpstart everything, and that he's feeling better. It shows that we're on the right track. And I would say there's probably going to come a point where we go kind of hard at the pituitary, but I almost still want to like double down on just jumpstarting everything. And then even when we go hard at the pituitary, he's still probably going to be on, 4 drops 3 times a day or something. It's still going to be, a big dosage. And so I would let's bump him up for a week and just like get back to me next week. 6 drops 3 times a day. I mean, I've done 2 or 3 times that, 2 or 3 times a day. And then like baths, and I mean, frankincense and myrrh, you don't want to go super crazy with it, but you can definitely do bigger dosages than what we're talking about.
Okay. Now, all right, perfect. I'll definitely do that. He does have that curvature in his spine that also actually keeps improving.
Okay. The frankincense and myrrh should actually even help with that, believe it or not. It has.
I think it is.
Yeah, it has a bit of an anti-inflammatory effect. It calms the limbic responses, and it stimulates cerebral spinal fluid. It stimulates not the right word. It's almost like it regulates the cerebral spinal fluid circulation, which means it regulates like neurological functions and things. And I'm not saying that it's straightening his spine, but it's taking all the tension out of something potentially that, the tension is what's causing the pain. And so it should help with all that. And so what you could do is, we talk about doing it topically, put it on his hot spots, the areas in his body. It's not necessarily like a pain reliever, but it will take some of the inflammation out. It will soothe some of it. You could rub it down his spine, or he could hit the spots that he can reach. Any version of that. I use that blend sometimes, like after we're treating chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, like I'll do the first wave of like sage, and then when all that kind of calms down and it's starting to kind of stabilize a little bit, I go kind of hard with I'm saying that a lot tonight. I'm going really hard at this or that. I got something in my brain apparently, but I go strongly with the frankincense and myrrh as like a next level, and part of it is it's an anti-inflammatory. It hits the limbic functions. It it does a bunch of things with the endocrine function. It improves cognitive function and improves cerebral spinal fluid circulation. It just does so much, and it's just, it's a simple formula. It's just frankincense and myrrh, but it's potent, and so I would. He's going to be using that for a while.
Okay, all right. I really think it is helping him.
Yeah.
It's helping all of his other therapies work better too.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Is like even if he goes back, I was going to say it about the human growth hormone. Is like even if he ends up back on the human growth hormone, it'll either make him more effective, or he might not need quite the dosage. And so, that's always the great thing, is if we can minimize the medications, but it should help other things work, because you're jumpstarting the whole endocrine system. And so, when I was looking at him, when we were talking about this before, it's just his endocrine function just looks like it was not quite this, but it looked like almost like half of the other, like what the other vitality of the other systems in his body was. And sometimes it's just like a weird thing that like is set in motion when you're young, just, when you're born, or you go through certain illnesses or flus or something, and you just never shake it off, and so
Yeah.
um
No, he's had a lot of stress, like
yeah.
just family stress. Like we've had a lot of things happen, and it I could tell like when he hit middle school, it's like he wasn't going through puberty like everybody else.
Mhm.
And it took a really long time, even through to high school. And then finally at the end of high school, we're like, we've got to do something about this. Like
Mhm,
this is
mhm.
not working. And
I have a weird random question. Like,
yeah,
is he prone to inflammation in his gut down by his belly button?
oh yeah, totally. Like
Okay.
he for a long time we were significantly watching what he ate just to help him process the food and get the nourishment from the food. He wasn't getting nourished.
And how has that been in the last few weeks? Has he had any flare-ups with that right now, or is he kind of okay in that area?
No, he's been pretty good in that. Like
Okay.
definitely no flare-ups. He uh, he's he eats extremely well. Like
Mhm.
and he's just been like that for many years now because of just the trauma that he went through with
Yeah, sure.
his gut being everything was twisted up. And um we've tried so many different things to help him. And
When he starts to have a flare-up with that, I don't want to do this prophylactically. I'd like to just wait till it kind of flares up, but yarrow internally would be something that we'd probably do. But let's wait until he starts having an issue there. But it
okay,
should calm down the inflammation. But you can't take yarrow the way we're talking about, like the frankincense and myrrh and all that, because like if you start ingesting myrrh, or excuse me, if you start ingesting yarrow daily, after about 3 weeks, it's very inflammatory, and it reduces the inflammation and any potential bleeding and things in the gut. But the issue is that it starts to reduce the absorption of iron by the
okay,
body. And so like I like to use that more in just acute situations. And but like keep me posted on that. If that starts to flare up, we'll treat that. But for right now, let's just stick with what we're doing. And the idea would be to get him into this, a good enough healthy place where we do a little rehab on the gut a little bit. But right now, that's not even on my radar right now. Like, let's do these other things for a while before we even tackle that. But
okay, all
the
right,
other
for sure.
thing is he really super hard on himself?
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. At some point, we probably need to help him not be so hard on himself. Yeah.
oh
So
absolutely.
that's way down the line. Let's get him stabilized, like with all this stuff. And then, there's a little oil thing that we can help with to help him with that,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There is another. Can I ask
Yeah, of course.
a kind of related but separate question with a
Sure.
different individual?
Mhm.
So you have been talking a lot about the lymphatic system tonight, and I have somebody in our family who snores all the time.
Mhm.
And it's driving us crazy. Is there anything that would be helpful for just to help with snoring? Like,
So,
I know it might be a loaded question, but
well, the issue is that like sometimes, I mean, it's hard. You can try, but basically you want to be able to relax the muscles in the neck which are tied to also elevating the rib cage for respiration and things. And so a lot of times what I have somebody do right off the bat is right as they're going to bed is to inhale hyssop, not even a pattern, just like lay down and inhale hyssop for 20, 25, 30 times, until they start getting sleepy, and then just set it on the bedstand or something and like do that. Sometimes what I've done to augment that, like first I would just say start with the hyssop. And then to augment that, there's this oil that it's Tolu balsam. And like I make it like in an ointment, but it treats like some weird respiratory issues. And one of the things that it is really super good for is in children is treating croup, like when the throat like basically starts like shrinking, everything gets tight and inflamed and the throat starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it causes this condition of croup. And it's usually in like little kids, before they're in double digits, right?
Okay.
But one of the things that we do sometimes when somebody has like a serious like kind of issue with some of the throat muscles or like the trachea or like the upper bronchioles is we still have them do the hyssop, but we take the Tolu balsam in like a massage oil or lotion and like rub it on their throat and the upper chest every night as they go to bed. And it helps to relax some of those mechanisms that then they go through and they do the hyssop, and it just keeps on unwinding some of that. And it potentially has stopped snoring. I have some people where it's worked, and some people I was like, yeah, I don't know. And so, there's always these aftermarket devices, like those little things that you do on your finger and everything. I've had people like do hit and miss with those. Like sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But essential oil wise, this is what I would do. And if it's even like kind of working, we could go down the thing where you still use those two, and there's an herb called lobelia that is good for relaxing the diaphragm and some of the connective tissue. And you would just have them take like a capsule of it a day, probably in this case at night, and that would probably change the snoring and potential apnea.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Appreciate all of this.
You're
It's
so welcome. Glad to
incredibly
hear.
helpful.
Glad to hear Eden's doing a bit better.
Oh, it's so relieving. Like
Yeah.
it's so great to see the progress. So it's really
Good.
amazing.
So if you have questions or need anything about the adjustments, we're around. Like we're traveling, but we're around through all the holidays. So like feel free to email us or do whatever.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So appreciate it. Okay. Take care.
Take care.
And then go ahead, Deborah, and then Marianne.
Hey, Deborah.
Oh, God. Oh, dear.
Or do you want to go Marianne first, maybe?
I've lost you. I'm gonna have to go all the way out and reconnect, I think.
Okay. When you come back in.
I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. Whatever you need, just if you come back in, we'll fit you in.
Take your time. Oh, never mind, I got you.
Okay.
Hey, Marianne, how are you doing?
Oh, no, let the other person go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Deborah.
Hey, Deborah.
You're not unmuted yet. Right, go ahead, Marianne.
Oh, gosh. I think I probably expressed my comment of frustration. It wasn't related to the order of you were going. It was because I had lost you by pushing a wrong button. Anyway, the first person that spoke talked about her friend with psoriasis, and you had recommended Moroccan thyme.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that might also be useful for an autoimmune disease that I have, which is bullous pemphigoid.
Yeah, anything autoimmune, it's good for. Like
Okay.
anything autoimmune. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get some of that then. Also, I just want to briefly thank you for everything.
Oh, you're
And
so welcome.
you know the stress I'm under.
Yeah.
And I just want to say things are happening, not what I expect, not necessarily anything I want in terms of prior to all this. You know that a lot of what's happening is exacerbated by my losing more and more vision.
Mhm.
One thing that was so difficult for me was the thought of having to give up driving, because that's my total independence.
Sure.
And I was unable to get a driver to go to a faraway medical appointment for my eyes. And I had canceled twice, and I felt I just had to get there this time. And so I thought I'd try driving. And I thought I'd look for places to stop along the way, or I could turn around if I felt it was too much. Well, I arrived there. They went through the testing. I didn't do well, and I knew I didn't. And at the end, I said to the doctor, am I still a legal driver? I said, I drove here today and I'm worried. And she said, well, we'll test both of your eyes together and see how you make out with that. And needless to say, I did not pass. And I ended up coming home in a tow truck.
Oh, wow.
With my car in tow. So of course we drove into this huge parking lot where I'm now living. And it was a miracle. No one can understand how I even got into this place as quickly as I did. I was never put on a waiting list for which they're known. And within a week, I had the keys in my hand. And so this is another strange thing. I arrived home. I walked to the elevator. A young man who is he helps here at the agency, was getting off the elevator, and the tow truck goes by, and which was visible to everybody that was there. And I said, I just came back on that tow truck, and sort of briefly explained why. And make a long story short, he bought my car that I
good.
got rid of. And I mean, it's these crazy things like, how did I find myself there to begin with?
Mhm.
The timing is so perfect, so absolutely perfect. I've got supportive people around. And then how often would you be so upset about losing your capacity to drive and then start to walk to the elevators, and the person that comes out ends up buying your car?
Yeah.
So I'm just totally struck. I mean, I feel terrible, but on the other hand, there's this wonder.
Yeah.
It's so wondrous. How is all this happening? I go on about this. I talk too much, but I think you get my point.
Yeah.
That the thing I dread the most, but then it gets softened somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Good for
And
you.
it's quite wondrous.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it except just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you explained it quite well. Yeah.
So thank you. I feel the work I'm doing with you is helping. all.
Good. Mm.
And
We're so happy to be here with you. Like, we
I'm
love
very
having you
happy to
around.
have you all here
Yeah.
with me, every one of you. You're all so dear and so
Yeah.
precious to share all the stories. It helps.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Merry Christmas. We love you.
Same to you.
And then, let's see, go ahead, Deborah, and then Peggy.
Hey, Deborah.
And just so everyone knows who's coming in, we will start the immune practice after we have the questions, but we still have people's hands raised, so I want to still get to those. Go ahead, Peggy.
Hi, y'all.
Hey.
Happy almost Christmas. My wonderful sweet neighbor who had bronchitis, and I got him the red time, which he really helped. Went back to the doc in a box today. Now he's got pneumonia on top of his bronchitis. Is number one, can you keep doing the red time? And number two, is there anything we can add? He just
Yeah,
sounds
you
like
definitely can still do the time. Let me look something up here real quick. How old's the person?
he is a young 60, but he's semi-medically fragile with diabetes. And he's naturally slim.
I would use a very specific type of myrtle called green myrtle. And you could apply it to his chest if he can handle it. If not, diffuse it in the air in his immediate environment. Either through a diffuser or putting a bunch on a tissue and then a couple hours later, doing it again and just letting it evaporate into the air. It depends on how fragile his lungs are in the thing with the pneumonia. You could even have him just start inhaling it right out of the bottle just to see how he does. But I would like to probably get some on like his chest if that's possible.
Okay, I don't have any of that. Is there anything?
No, it's pretty specific. It's like there's 5 or 6 different kinds of myrtle and it would be that one type.
Okay.
Yeah.
And y'all, okay, and
Yeah.
whenever we can get it to him.
Yeah, I mean, even though we're not at home, we have staff there that can ship it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Green myrtle.
Mm-hmm.
Apply it to his chest if it's not too.
First, start with the inhaling in the bottle, and see if he can handle it. And if he can, put like 6-8 drops and then some lotion and then just like rub it on his chest and do that like maybe twice a day.
Any kind of lotion.
Yeah, just something unscented. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Say a prayer for him, man. He's just my dearest,
Yeah.
you know, special friend. So, all right, and then keep doing the red time.
Mhm.
Okay, you got me. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're so welcome.
Right, Christmas.
And then go ahead, Megan, then Jean.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, Greg. I was listening closely to your conversation about the unconscious blend, and my spleen chakra has kind of just been on my radar.
I'm having a hard time. Hold on.
Sorry.
There's some we can, it's just the thing. Okay. Yeah.
I'll move it closer.
Yeah. Okay. I can hear you, but it's like I'm having a hard time. It's like you're underwater or something.
Oh, okay. Maybe if I lift my laptop off my table, is that any better?
No.
Okay, I'll just type it in. Okay.
No,
Keep trying.
keep trying. Like explain what you're saying, but I might have to ask you.
Okay, I'll summarize. Is there a substitute for the unconscious blend for the purpose of helping my spleen in the way that you described, like in terms of more emotional kind of fortitude, I guess? I feel like
larch can be helpful, like in the way that the unconscious is, the conscious blend. Larch can be helpful. So
and what pattern would you suggest?
Actually, I would probably have you do more like inhalation with like body awareness rather than the chakra itself. You're trying to treat the whole body, and you're trying to unwind things that are in the body that you're not really consciously aware of. So I would actually just be still, pay attention to the body, like, and then like if there's a tension or your awareness keeps getting pulled to a certain area or there's a little bit of pain, put your awareness on the area, maintain your awareness, and then inhale the larch for a while, and then kind of wait till you start to expand and then let go, and then reevaluate the body and then go to the next spot. Like, it might be the same, it might be a different spot. And so you're unwinding some things in your physiology that like a chakra pattern is just not going to do. And you could almost say, for certain things, body awareness can actually be stronger than even a chakra pattern. Not for everything, but for certain things. This would be one of them. And so I would just practice body awareness with this.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Jean, and then Channing.
Hey, Jean.
Hi,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. So this is I'm just getting started with this, and I'm trying to figure out, I did the Saturday
Uh-huh.
workshop, which was great.
Mhm.
And I want to start ordering some essential oils, but I'm trying to figure out what to sort of start with. And so here's my main thing, which is that I have a sort of long history of back issues, and a recent MRI showed stenosis with some, a slightly bulging disc at L3, L4, probably doesn't matter so much, but anyway, and it seems to radiate around my hips, particularly at night when I'm sleeping.
Okay. What part of your hips? Like the sides of your hips, or like the butt cheek itself, or like where is it hitting you?
So what I'm noticing is actually a tingling on the front outer part, particularly of my right hip, kind of where the femur meets the,
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
femur.
Gotcha.
And it kind of goes down a little bit, the top of that area, that tingling, which I notice at night a lot if I sleep on my side.
Okay.
And then sometimes there's numbness down my legs. I'm seeing I do a lot of Pilates to keep moving. moving helps a lot. But I'm really interested in how these, the essential oils could help. So I was trying to figure out if I should get the Arthricare. I have some arthritis as well. Arthricare. I also have arthritis in my knee, but I've got that under control with a lot of hip work actually that's helped my knee.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I should get joint relief, Arthricare. I mean, there's so many blends, and
Yeah. And, they're all kind of like, they overlap a little bit, but they're specific, because there's different kinds of pain and there's different stages of pain and things like that. And so, normally I would say with this, there's a pain relief neuropathic, and that is specific for nerve pain. And you described it like radiating, tingling, and it can also be sharp and stabbing, right? But in this particular case, I would actually go slightly different for a little while. I'd eventually probably come back around to that blend, but right off the bat, I'd probably go the pain relief antispasmodic.
Okay.
And we kind of want to unwind as much of the muscular tension in and around that area as possible. And like whenever you see something like this exaggerated with laying on the side, part of it is that it could be hitting the quadratus lumborum, like this big, like lower back muscle. But there's this issue that can happen that, and you kind of were alluding to it, like when you lay on your side, what can happen is there's this ligament between the head of the femur and like the pelvis or the socket.
Yes.
And when you lay on the side, it's almost like it hyperextends a little bit. It's not really hyperextending, but it's just that ligament is being irritated a little bit. And then it kind of causes a little bit of a chain reaction in the surrounding area, but the back will tighten up to try to stabilize that. And if that's been there, if that's been happening for a while, neurologically, there's a reaction that happens in the low back that it keeps tensing up to try to offset this particular issue. And, it's not necessarily going to resolve the issue in the hip, but it's going to undo the effects that had in the back. And that's actually what's causing you the pain, is just that when that's stretching like that, that upper part of the back tenses up to try to stabilize. And like, normally I would say a series of things, but I'm going to do something a little different just because of the way that you described it, is that there's a body tonic called Digesto Calm, like somebody mentioned it a little bit earlier.
Yes.
Shake that up and, put that on the abdomen. It's alcohol and witch hazel base, so it dries up. Then you can put the ointment on of the pain relief antispasmodic, which would help. And then I would do a thing to deepen the breath. Anytime you have sharp stabbing pain, tingling pain, radiating pain, it actually causes the diaphragm to tighten up and the bronchioles, which directly increases the tension of the paraspinal muscles. And so you could almost say like the tension in the spine directly corresponds to the tension in the diaphragm. So if the diaphragm is a little tight, the spinal muscles are tight. And so it's not going to be the fix, but you're undoing, again, the effect of the sharp stabbing pain. And by deepening the breath, it lessens some of the pain and it takes some pressure off the nerves, because it's kind of continually loosening up the spinal muscles. And that you'll just inhale. So you'll do hyssop as an inhalation, right? And for this, I would probably go hyssop decumbens. Like if you just had normal hyssop, then I'd say just use the normal hyssop. But if you're having to get one, go to Decumbens. Decumbens has a bit more of an antispasmodic effect on the diaphragm. And then the pain relief antispasmodic, which you're going to apply to that low back area. You can apply to the hips too if you want, but I'm really like looking at that lumbar area, like kind of even like from the spine out a little bit. So can still be upper hip, could still be whatever, and then the body tonic on the abdomen. I'd start with that and see how that treats you. I would guess that that's going to calm a lot of stuff down. We still might need to treat a couple other little things. Like sometimes you treat it for a little while and you can move on to something else.
Yeah.
And so let's see how this treats you. But like that's a really good starting point for, especially when you have an issue like that that's aggravated by laying on your side. Part of it is this little ligament issue. And forgive me, there's a name for it. It's I was trying to recall it when I was first thinking of it, and I'm like not even close. You know, sometimes you're like, it's almost there. It's not even almost there. Yeah, it's in my notes somewhere, but I can't remember what the name of it is. It's not like, you know, tendonitis is the tendon, and so ligaments can get irritated too, but it has a very specific little name, and I mean it's nothing that ever gets usually diagnosed, but it is like usually who diagnoses it is an orthopedic guy, like, you know, an orthopedic doctor.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
you know,
seeing
because
this,
they're looking for stuff like that. Like a GP is not going to nail it, or
I'm seeing fairly regularly a physiatrist.
oh, nice.
For my back,
Yeah.
And he proposed if it got bad, a cortisone shot, but I was trying to avoid that as long as.
So I mean, you can increase cortisone in the body with oils, but I would try this first. Like if you do want to augment that, so like 3-4 drops of Sylvester pine, like not any of the other pines, like Sylvester pine, on the wrist. Like put like a few drops on the wrist, like daily, and you'll just rub them together like that, and it will increase your body's production of cortisone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing, and I'm also taking CBD
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
and a gabapentin to sleep because
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
So should I just keep with that?
Well, the gabapentin is also going to calm down sensory nerves. So, you know, I'd still probably, you're on that medication. I'd still probably do this, but eventually what we could do, I would say, let's get this calmed down.
Yeah.
But eventually what I would do is I'd probably have you use either in salt baths or in a body tonic, sage. And sage, like, and just like you're going to rub it like all over your body, like say like at night before you go to bed.
Yep.
And part of the issue is it does hit the thalamus up in the brain, which is kind of like a processor of like stimuli, but it calms all the sensory nerves down in the body. So it's not quite like gabapentin, but it's trying to do something similar that the gabapentin is usually prescribed for.
Okay. But I should wait to do that.
I would probably wait because I'd like to see how this treats you rather than just throwing everything out. Like that's an issue, but like it's almost like there's a couple of these different things that they're overlapping. They are connected, but I think if we get the back stabilized, then when it comes time to calm down the sensory nerves, we calm them down, they'll probably stay calmed down. But if that back is still aggravated, we'll calm them down and then we'll just like pop right back. And so like I would say let's focus on stabilizing the back. And then next wave is we go through and like calm down the sensory nerves and maybe stimulate a little lymphatic function and things like that. But let's do this first piece. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you.
And deepening the breath. So hyssop, the pain relief, antispasmodic, and then what was the other thing I said?
I've got digestive calm.
Yeah, digestive calm. It's not my normal protocol for something like this, but it's it's for what you're talking about, it should be quite helpful.
Digestion's been a factor too, so I was.
Well,
just
it
careful
will
not-
help, it will help calm down the smooth muscle of the gut, but in doing so, it also relaxes the psoas, which
Yes,
is your
which is in the
big
shoulder.
hip flexor.
Yep.
And with everything we got going on, we want to relax that hip flexor.
Yep, no, definitely the hip flexors are really tight.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, digestive
sure.
calm, pain relief, antispasmodic, and hyssop.
Mhm.
Cucumbers. Okay, I'll start with those. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Happy holidays.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Thanks.
And then go ahead, Channing, and then we'll try Deborah again.
Hey, Miss Channing.
Let's see, I don't know, maybe. Sure, no, you're there. Go ahead, Channing or Deborah. Either one at this point. All right, well, we're already past time anyway, so
Just want to jump into another thing.
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we're still going a little bit deeper on immunity, but we're going to do something where immunity, we're usually talking about this part of the immune system, that part of the immune system. Part of the immune system is also in the gut. And so I'm keeping this very simple, but we're doing kind of a two-pronged thing here. Is where we're strengthening the immunity, but as like the digestive system, how the digestive system influences the immune system, but also combined with the digestive issue is also just stress levels. And like stress isn't always, there's lots of different kinds of stresses. And what happens sometimes is there can be like a nervous tension in the body. And so there's a couple oils that I'd like to have us run through where we do a little body awareness with. And then we'll go and treat a little bit of the digestive system. So in that, you can use something like spikenard, you can use valerian, you could use vetiver. Spikenard and valerian are more of a top choice, but also lavender, just like good old-fashioned lavender. And make sure it's a genuine lavender, not a synthetic lavender. Synthetic lavender, it won't hit the nervous tension in the body. And so, just in case you're using another brand or something. And so with that, what you're going to do is you're going to put your awareness on the body, check in with the body, and just grab a spot, whatever jumps out at you. And then keep your awareness on that spot and begin inhaling the oil, whatever one you're using, with your awareness on that spot. You're not trying to make it go away. You're just taking long, slow, deep breaths, inhaling, exhaling. You're still taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then just be still for a moment. Just be still. And again, your awareness is on your body. You're looking for one of those spots that jumps out. It could be an ache or a pain, tension. Your awareness is just drawn to that area. Feels a little stiff. Keep your awareness on that spot. You're inhaling. And then just be still. And then again, awareness is on the body. And then just be still on that tree. What's that? What are you? Okay, so now you are going to pull out, let's shoot for rosemary verbena or tarragon. If you don't have those, anise or anise, however you'd like to say it, or ANS. Even marjoram if you don't have any of those. Okay, we're giving you a minute to kind of pull that together. Okay, again, awareness on the body. Just explore the body wherever you're feeling a tension, stiffness, where your attention or awareness is being drawn to. And again, begin inhaling. And then just be still, be aware. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your front solar plexus, the area below your ribs, on your upper abdominal area. Your back solar, the mid back area. Your navel. Your awareness is on your navel. And the bottom of your tailbone. And then just be still. Mm. Like use that same one, but okay, again, body awareness. Put your awareness on your body. This time, let's really explore the abdomen. Like explore your abdominal cavity, and wherever there's some tension or weirdness, or you just feel like this is a good spot, put your awareness on that area and just be still for a moment. Move your awareness to the front solar plexus, the area below your ribs. Your awareness is on the back solar plexus. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. The navel. Your awareness is on your navel. The bottom of your tailbone. Your awareness is on the bottom of the tailbone. Just let go. Be still, be aware. Just let go. Notice how you feel, your body, your gut. And this is just another way to support the immune system, but also just helping you feel a little less stressed out and reducing some of the effects of stress on the digestive tract. And so we are going to jump into the Astara prayer blessing. If you want to join us, this is not essential oil related. It's the other organization that I run. And so we bless prayer petitions every week. You're more than welcome to join us. If not, I hope you can join us tomorrow night for the Metatron special study group. And then we also do a solstice blessing with Astara. And if not, Merry Christmas. Have a good weekend and a good holiday, and enjoy all the people you get to be with. And we'll be back on for next week. So you guys take care.